Talmor, Shishin Marachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, I'm Alison Larkin, writer, comedian, narrator, and host of the Jane Austen podcast. Join me as we embark on a journey through Austen's timeless stories, starting with Pride and Prejudice. The Jane Austen podcast with Alison Larkin is available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of Thanks for Coming In. I'm your host, Jillian Clare. Well, friends, it's been quite a while. I don't think we've released an episode since mid-July. We went on pause once the strike hit because our SAG-AFTRA rules say that we as actors are not allowed to promote any AMPTP work during the strike. And considering this show is talking mostly about an actor's journey and projects that they've been in or auditioned for, we just felt that it was the right move to go ahead and pause until the strike was over. I have missed you all. I have missed doing this show, and I'm excited for it to come back once the strike is officially over. Our negotiating committee is in talks with the AMPTP, which is great. And we hope that something good will come out of this soon. And I think everyone is just staying cautiously optimistic. We all want to get back to work. I want to continue this podcast as well. So let's all cross our fingers and send our negotiating committee all of the positive vibes and love. With that said, a couple housekeeping things here. I know that I had told you guys about the show that we were producing and recording called The Case Within. It is officially out. The first episode is out, and every Friday we will release a new episode. There are 8 episodes total. It has already been charting on the fiction charts on Apple, and we have been just overwhelmed by the response for the show, and I would love it if you would go over, listen, rate, review it, subscribe to it. If we get enough listens and we start making a little money on it, we might actually be able to do season 2, which would be incredible. This is a tiny little passion project, and we are so happy to have it released into the world. All right, let's get to today's special episode. Today I have my friends Mike and Danice, who are both strike captains at WB. This whole summer, I have been at WB with them on the lines as a gate captain, and it has been the most rewarding and fulfilling and at times difficult jobs I've had in my life. I've joked with several people over the summer that this is the most consistent acting job I've had since I was a child, which is probably true. But we've been out there together, and it's really been an eye-opening experience. And so today I wanted to bring them on to talk about what it's like to be a strike captain, and also inform our listeners about SAG-AFTRA as a union, what committee work is like, how our government functions a little bit. We didn't get too much into the government side of SAG-AFTRA because we really are like a mini government, but we did talk about committee work, which I think is very important. And on that note, if you are a SAG-AFTRA member, make sure to fill out the committee form. You all got sent a committee form asking if you'd like to serve. It is the best way to stay in solidarity with your fellow members. It's the best way to make friendships, to create families, and to enact real change within the union. So if you are passionate about the union and our members, check out those committee sign-up forms. And without further ado, here is today's special Strike Captain episode. I'd like to welcome to the show my friends Mike and Danice. Say hello.
Hi.
We're here. I met both Mike and Danice out on the strike line, day one of the SAG-AFTRA strike, and instantly fell in love with them. And so now they're never getting rid of me, ever.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Our plan worked.
Exactly.
Oh, gosh. So I'd love if both of you could just take a quick moment to introduce yourself to our listeners and share what you do in SAG-AFTRA, as well as all of the fun stuff you do outside of SAG-AFTRA.
Mike, you go first.
I was going to say ladies first, but I guess not. I am Mike C. Nelson. I've been a proud member of SAG-AFTRA since 2008. I've made most of my hay doing commercial work over the last 15 plus years here in Los Angeles. Outside of that, I guess I'll say it before you guys say it, that I am a 3-time Jeopardy champion. That people make fun of me every day on the line.
Yes, we do. We love you.
It's a great honor. But yeah, I like collecting books and records, and what else? I like long walks.
On the beach?
Yeah, sure. On the beach, off the beach. Was there another question I was supposed to answer there?
No, that'll do. Denise.
Mike is also a strike captain.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible listener right now. Strike captain at Warner Brothers with me and Jillian.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hi, I'm Denise Cabanela, originally from Texas, San Antonio, proud. And I have been living in LA for 11 years, joined the union in 2015. And Mike actually got me involved with my first committee, the LA Organizing Committee. And prior to that, I had no idea they existed. And he was like, just one day, hey, do you want to join this committee with me? And I'm like, yeah. No idea what it really did. But it's just been really great to be a part of that community and have that grow into the work that we're doing on the line every day at Warner Brothers. And I mostly work, I work a lot in commercial voiceover, some theatrical, and I love theater.
Love theater. So you bring up committees, which is something I want to talk about because I've never really told our listeners or explained to our listeners what SAG-AFTRA the insides is like, what all of hi friend
Jane.
Just a calm Jane, don't do it. I've never really explained, how our union is like its own little mini government, and we have our committees that help run things in all of our locals, and then we have our national committees that help run policy for national issues. So I'd love to hear kind of the story of how both of you said Mike got you involved. Mike, how did you make your way into the committee world? Because once you're there, you don't get out.
If you're good, if you show up, they'll want you back. I was like, I think a majority of actors is, I didn't know what the hell the union was about at all when I first joined. The first handful of years I was in the union, I'd get checks from my agency, I would cash them, and that was it. I had no idea what the union was about at all. And as commercials started becoming a career for me, I took it upon myself of like, man, I got to learn about this union. I got to get involved. And then we started seeing kind of the decline of union commercials and more things going non-union stuff. So even more so over the last decade, I was like, I have to get involved. So my first involvement really with the union was going to the wages and working conditions meetings before a commercials contract was coming up. To actually read the commercials contract for the very first time and go through it with a fine-tooth comb with people that have been doing it for decades or like me were noobs. And I just the first W&W process on the commercial side, I learned a ton because I just kind of sat there and was a sponge. Didn't get up to the microphone too much or bring any proposals to the table, but I just learned a lot. And that was like a decade ago. And since then, I've been part of grassroots groups outside of the union, being heavily involved with commercials. I got asked to be on the National Commercial Performers Committee. I've been on that for, I think, going on 6 years
Dang.
now. And then, about 4 years ago, a friend of mine, Kevin E. West, asked me to be a co-chair on the LA Local Organizing Committee. And that was kind of our whole idea was, a lot of people see the union as just this building on Wilshire Boulevard that's this like monolith. It's just a building, or it's just this entity, this thing. And a lot of people have negative connotations towards unions or towards our union. And I just wanted to see for myself with my own two eyes, can we make change within the red tape and the bureaucracy of an organization from the inside? Because grassroots, you could do whatever. You're not beholden to what the union has to say or do. But I was like, I want to see if I can get involved from the inside and see if we can enact change. And I can say without a doubt, over the last 4 years on the organizing committee and the last 6 years on the CPC, with the help of dozens upon dozens of incredible members that are volunteering their time, you can make change. And I've never been more excited going forward because of this strike and this year 2023 and this pivotal moment. I think membership is more involved than it ever has been. Mm-hmm. The bonds we've created with our sister unions and within our own union with our staff and our fellow members and everything, I'm very excited about committee work going forward.
Mm-hmm. I think committee work is like so important. It really does help shape the union. It helps shape solidarity within us, connection. Danice, what drew you to the organizing committee, and what do you guys work on within that committee?
Mike Nelson got me a part of the LA organizing committee, and I love working with people. I love, organizing, producing. And I was like, yeah, I would love to make a difference and try to be more involved. Because like Mike said, a lot of people do think that SAG is this, you work for us, you do, you pay us our residuals. The best thing that we get out of our union are the screeners that we get at the end of the year. And it's so much more than that. It's our connection with each other, what we can do together, how we can create lasting change. And some of the work that we do within the organizing committee is we frankly show up to other sister union actions. So a lot of things that we'll do is we'll go and go out to like the Labor Day parade that happens down in Long Beach or Wilmington. We'll go and volunteer together for other organizations, the Salvation Army, that also work with SAG-AFTRA on different levels. But we physically go and do work together to show our solidarity, and we help spread the word about it. We're also trying to educate and mobilize our membership just by doing this, like talking about what we do and sharing that excitement and that passion, because there's so much for us to learn. There's so much for us to do. There's so much that we can do together to really make shit happen, like in the way that will serve us best.
Yeah, someone mentioned the other day of just, SAG-AFTRA for years is I've heard us mentioned as a sleeping giant. If we could ever really harness the power of our 160,000 members countrywide and really utilize that power and leverage that we have, we can change this industry. And I think that, again, this summer, what the writers did, they paved the way for us. But what the WGA did and what we're soon to get in our work, I think, is so huge in organizing and getting people involved and people wanting to get more educated on their union. To see collective action work with your own two eyes is the best organizer of all time. We could bang our heads against the wall in past years to get people to come to a meeting or come to, anything that was SAG-AFTRA affiliated. But this strike, almost every day on the line, and you get this as well, you get people that are coming up to you and asking how they can help in what way. They want to get more involved. This has really lit a fuse under so many people. Again, I'm very excited, but yeah, getting the strike authorization, going on strike, fighting this fight that's been really fucking hard for everybody, but getting a huge victory at the end, I think is again, we're going to reap the benefits of this collective action for decades to come.
Yeah.
And we're laying the groundwork now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you both brought up, something that I've talked about with a lot of people recently after I've gotten involved in the politics and the committees, is that so many people see the union as just this representative, this thing they have to be a part of so that they can do their job and do what they love. And it really is a sleeping giant, because I think this strike has shown that if we all just get together and stick together, things happen. And I think it has ignited a passion for, the next generation as well. We've seen so many, young performers, teenagers out there on the picket line with us, and it's been so inspiring. And we even have a couple strike captains who are teenagers, young performers. It's been amazing to see that we are inspiring them to get involved at an early age, because that hasn't really happened for young performers before.
Yeah, I think it's the opposite of like a vicious cycle or whatever we're seeing right now. It's the opposite. It's this positive thing where older actors are passing the baton down. They're fighting this fight right now because someone 40 years ago, or in 1960, the people that fought in 1960 paved the way for a lot of actors, the older actors that are out there right now. And they're doing it to pass it down to younger generations, and we're doing the same thing. And I think it's so great to see teenagers seeing the generations that came before them fighting for their future. Again, I think it's just a beautiful thing for everyone to pass down this lineage and kind of pass the torch of, I'm fighting not just for our present, but we're all fighting for our future and future generations to have a chance at having a career in this industry. That's kind of what this fight's been all about.
Yeah.
So take me back to right before the strike was officially on for all of us. For me, I got an email from our executive director as a person who chairs a committee in Los Angeles saying, hey, come make signs. And that's when I first met you, Mike, as we were making signs together before we were officially on strike down at headquarters. But what was it for you guys? Like, when did you know that you were going to be strike captains? When did you, figure out, okay, we're going to be at WB, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and these are our pairings and here's how it's all going to happen?
I didn't know that y'all were making signs together. Was that when the organizing committee was making signs, or was that like a separate thing?
I can't remember, but I just remember like we were just next to each other. I was like taping up signs and she was making, strips of duct tape or whatever we were doing together.
You had music, so I went next to you.
I love that. I love that.
But that's where we connected, and then to see each other, because I weirdly worked a commercial on day one, so I wasn't there for day one, which is crazy. I've like missed 2 or 3 days total, but one of them was day one, which was, I heard, kind of crazy and chaotic. But we met beforehand making signs. But yeah, since I was co-chair of the LA organizing committee, staff had been reaching out to me asking, could I even help them find some people that I think would be good from either my committee or people that I've known from other committees and whatnot. And I did. I reached out to a lot of people that I had seen walking the lines for the WGA since May 2nd. And there were, probably 100 plus SAG-AFTRA members that were out there pretty much every day. And I kept seeing the same people. So I recommended a bunch of people that had never been, involved before, but I saw them being involved for the WGA strike. And what's amazing is to see the blossoming of so many of them became these like boss ass bitches on the picket line and have been like ruling whatever, if they're at Netflix or they're Fox or whatever. I remember getting messages where they were kind of on the fence, and now they're like one of the most like notable names or whatever on the pickets. So I knew I was going to get like called upon, and I definitely wanted to be called upon from the jump, but to end up at Warner Brothers with you two and our crew is just one of the greatest lucky breaks, I think, of all time.
Yeah, I mean, being also on the committee, not as the chair, but involved as we all three are. I got reached out to by Serena, and she was just like, "Hey, we just want to prepare just in case, because nothing was certain yet."
It was always the just in case. I also loved when they'd be like, "So when? I mean, if we go on strike," and we're like, "We're going on strike."
I know. Yeah, and so they knew, like they knew that we needed to prepare however way, but they started doing that, I don't know, the week before, and I will always remember day one, and really actually the training that we did.
Oh yeah,
a bunch of us did at Disney. Were you there, Jillian?
I didn't go to the Disney lot. I did the online training, and then I was working, so I couldn't actually be at the in-person training.
Yeah, it was. So I was working a gig, and then I had to come late, and then I just was playing catch up with Dimitri and just running around, and we were getting trained by the WGA lot coordinators, which was so cool because I had seen them. I've been out picketing since week 1 of the writer's strike, and I recognized people, and I was like, oh my God, now we're up. Like, we're stepping up to the plate. What does this feel like? And to end up at Warner Brothers with the family that we did really has been life-changing. I think that the people, we come together because we care so much, and however way that shows up, it does, and we show up to the line, and we're there for each other. And I'm starting to ramble, so I'm going to start this thought over again. Oh my God, I should have taken a longer nap.
You're doing great.
And yeah, to end up at Warner Brothers with y'all, it's just been such a blessing, and it really was meant to happen.
Yeah.
Cheyenne was, she was telling Serena, she was like, I'm gonna go wherever you need me. And I was like, what is the most consistent thing that you can do? That's what you should do. And I was like, if Warner Brothers is that and we can carpool, great. And so she almost didn't end up with us. She was gonna be at Netflix.
Traitor.
I know.
Traitor. Take us through a day of strike captaining, because I feel like a lot of people just think, oh, you guys just show up and you're out there and you pick it and you go. But there's so much that happens behind the scenes, and there's so much organizing that you guys do every single day. And I mean, multiple times throughout the day, I'll just see Danice running on her phone and looking like she needs to solve a major mystery. Like today we had a missing chair, and Lord knows what happened to that chair, by the way. Where did the chair go?
Okay. So for an hour and a half, so Cafa Blanca comes to the line. They serve this great coffee, amazing people. And they bring these chairs and tables to the line that are beautiful and rainbow. And I don't know, about 45 minutes or an hour into the picket, we notice that there's one missing. We're like, where did it go? And so we're panicking, but we didn't want to talk to the guys that were the owners. We're like, we got to find this chair, y'all. Finding this chair, put it in the WhatsApp. After an hour and a half of worrying and trying to get 50 people to look for this chair, no one could find it. We confessed to Cameron and Juan, and they were like, I was like, we're so sorry. We missed your chair. Your chair is gone. They were really chill about it. It's we've only had it for, a long time. And I was like, no. And I was like, we just let us know what we can do. And we were like, yeah, there's only 3 of them. And they're like, we only have 3.
Oh God. Shut up. There was never a 4th chair.
You only have 3? And they're like, yeah, we have 3 wheels on this thing, 3 chairs. And I was like, oh my God. So they started dying laughing because we had created this whole drama about the missing chair. We even looped in Kevin. I was like, Kevin E. West, we have a missing chair. He's like, I gotta solve a problem. I'm telling the rest of the negotiating committee he has to be back because he's gonna solve this missing chair. And there's no missing chair. So dumb. Yeah, so that's
wow.
it was solved.
Wow.
Solved because there was no mystery to begin with.
Okay, like to our defense here, it's 2 tables set up, and one of the tables has 2 chairs on one of them, and then the other table only had 1. So, 2 people who have been, in heat for the past 82 days, it was concerning.
It was. Yeah. And Sabrina was there, and she was like, right before I left to go to the taco truck, there were 4 chairs. And I was like, oh my God, we need to find it. So it was just the most hilarious, just ridiculous thing to happen today.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
explaining what a strike captain does is kind of crazy.
It's so insane.
Yeah, there's 5 kind of 5-headed beast between Danice and myself and our strike daddy Terry. And then we already mentioned Cheyenne and our good pal Will Dinsmore. Between the 5 of us, we're kind of overseeing the other 30 to 40 plus gate captains at Warner Brothers, and we have multiple gates. And I mean, day 82, and it's crazy though, because in that first week I was amazed that by day 2 or 3 we had really figured out a lot of stuff in just a matter of a couple days on the line. And again, hats off to the WGA who paved the way, because they had been doing it for close to 80 days when we joined in. So we learned a ton from Chandra and Anne and all these incredible people at Warner Brothers that came before us. Yeah. But it's like a jack of all trades. I think all of us, not just the 5 of us, but most of the 30 to 40 of us gate captains have done stuff where one day you're doing snacks or t-shirts. The other time you're preventing people from getting hit by crazy drivers at a certain gate. That's really people are driving, 70 miles an hour down the road right next to the sidewalks, or you're picking up trash, or you're setting up tents. You're repairing signs. It's kind of nonstop, and it goes by quickly every day. But 82 days of that. And then you talk about some of our captains like Terry, Cheyenne, and Danice and Will, have all done so much work outside of those lines. We're there for about 4 hours every day, but the hours of work of organizing and making sure everyone's got, their destination for the day or what job they're doing that day, and just all the meetings we have done outside of it is just overwhelming. Just how much time and effort a lot of these incredible people have put into this fight is astounding.
I don't think any of us, not a single one of us, knew what we were signing up for when we signed up to be strike captains. Because like you said, Mike, there is so much time and energy and organization that happens. Most people have no idea the spreadsheets and docs and texts and emails that go into keeping everything on the line smooth. We've got our morning meetings, yes, that Terry leads, but then we've got the scheduling that Cheyenne does. There's a lot of HR that happens on the line, having these people skills, putting people in the place where they're happy and thrive, because we're all volunteers here. Everyone wants to be happy doing the work that they're doing, and there are some personalities that might be best in separate ends of the lot. So managing that, producing, it's a lot of producing, but since the WGA has left us on the line, we've taken on a lot of the responsibility of talking with the showrunners and the organizers who are organizing their special pickets, and coordinating the food trucks, the coffee trucks, the drop-offs. We have a lot of great support at Warner Brothers with people bringing snacks and water. So we coordinate drop-offs. And safety is the most important thing. So making sure that we communicate with each other on the line and report things that happen, incidents that happen, because it happens every day. Warner Brothers is a pretty crazy lot with cars zooming, running red lights, almost hitting picketers, turning into the lots and out of the lot, and filing incident reports, sending to legal. I've never talked to legal this much in my life.
Annie's our best friend now.
Yeah. Yeah. But it is a lot.
And we've created, I think Danice nailed it with that description of just, we have, upwards of 40 people at plus staff. So you're talking about 50 plus people that are coming together from every different background, demographic, age group, wherever, that are all working in concert together. And just making sure that everyone feels heard and supported. Mm-hmm. And I think we've done an outstanding job with that, because just the camaraderie and solidarity and the family atmosphere, we have a meeting every morning, and we have a wrap-up meeting after we're done picketing. And it's one of my favorite things of just looking around that group of just this motley crew of weirdos that have come together mm-hmm. to fight this good fight. And again, it's like we've made friendships for a lifetime, and it's one of the greatest perks of doing some volunteerism on this front.
There have been so many tears on the line this past week, and yes, motley crew is a great that's true. We are definitely a motley crew, but there have been multiple people that have come forward and have said to me that they have not had a sense of family in Los Angeles all the time that they've been living here, as like they do now, like they do with our Warner Brothers family. And it really is powerful, and it moves me, because what we're going through does feel like war. It feels so intensely emotional, and we chose to do it together. Every single person chose to keep coming back to the line. And it's just really, really beautiful and powerful. And I do have a lot of lifelong friendships because of this. And I'm really proud that you two are in that.
Oh, we're all gonna cry.
Right back at you, kid.
It's true though, and I think for a lot of newer actors or actors who have joined the union in the past 5 years, they hadn't really experienced anything with other members because of the pandemic. And so while this strike is, we don't want to be here, we want to be working, and we want to be out there doing what we love. So while it's frustrating to be on strike, it's really done something beautiful for our union and for our community. It's brought us together in a way that we've just never had. We've never been this close.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. I've never seen, I've been in this town close to 20 years, and I've been in the union since 2008. And it was something that I always, people talked about it, but it was just, how do we thread this needle of like becoming closer to our sister unions? And LA County is a very union heavy county. There's so many unions that are in Los Angeles County.
Yeah.
But post pandemic, I think that was one of the biggest miscalculations from the other side, is they did not know that this resurgence of finding community post pandemic, where I met so many writers and heard exactly what their pain points were for the first time. I felt bad as a human being that I didn't know more about what they were going through. And the same thing that we've had people from IATSE, Teamsters, DGA, AFM, all the LIUNA.
Unite Here.
Unite Here, the hotel workers, teachers over the last year. It's like we're all talking, we're all showing up for each other, we're all supporting each other. And after we get our big victory, it's like, Teamsters are next, and we need to show up for the Teamsters. Mm-hmm. Then after that, it's IATSE. And if we show up for them and truly show up for them, because they need to see it with their own two eyes, just like we needed to see it from the WGA and vice versa, it's like, there's no telling like what this industry can look like if we're all like in lockstep. So if you fuck with one of us, you're fucking with all of us.
That's right.
And again, I think these bonds, I've heard it in some of the other podcasts and articles, and I've heard it from writers on the line where they're like, we will never forget what you guys did. SAG joining the lines in July changed the entire landscape of this hot labor summer, like completely.
It's so cool to think that like Hollywood set the stage for labor movements around the world. You know, when we came together, it was a well-covered event. You know, there were a lot of news people from different countries, Brazil, Slovakia, Germany, that were coming to cover the strikes. And that says something, not just out in Hollywood, but like what other industries are experiencing, and how this is inspiring people to come together in their own ways to stand up for better working conditions, better pay, and decency and humanity. And I think that it is so much bigger than even the US.
Yeah.
Like the impact that we're having.
Yeah, the world's watching, I think. I think the world is watching.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been saying it the last couple of weeks since the auto workers had gone on strike against the big three. That's even bigger than us, because everyone knows the UAW, and they know that's blue collar, and that's middle America, and that's, you know, the Rust Belt, and, you know, Michigan and all that stuff. And if they get a big victory too, I think you are going to see this trend. Because again, the union numbers are the lowest they've ever been.
Yep.
Membership wise, numbers are the lowest they've ever been. But you're seeing this huge increase in people trying to organize and beginning to organize, and getting, you know, some of those elections happening where they do get granted, you know, the vote to organize their workplace. And I think when they see victories from the writers, us, the auto workers win, UPS got a big win.
Yeah.
You know, railroad workers, if hotel workers get it in LA, you're going to start seeing, you know, tens of thousands or millions of workers across the country being like, this is bullshit. Like,
It is.
all the benefits are going to the very tippy top. And it's like, we helped them become a profitable company. So profit sharing and revenue sharing and a little bit more equity is what most workers want, and I think are going to start fighting for more so. So
It's
I'm
not
very excited.
Right. It's not even that we helped them. We did it. Like,
Yeah.
we make the work. Lyft drivers and Uber drivers, they move the people.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you wouldn't have that profit without us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you say Lyft and
Yep.
Uber, and what's interesting there is, I mean, I feel like these types of companies who have come on and started hiring these freelance workers, it's kind of the downfall of when unions started losing numbers, right? It's these people saying, I can make money outside of a regular job, and therefore they don't have a union to go to. But I think in the next, decade or so, we're going to see those workers rise up. We're going to see them say, no, we actually are this company. We need to form a union. We're even seeing it within our own industry with our, lowest paying workers, our PAs right now, which is amazing.
I know.
Yeah. And you even saw recently the independent producers,
Yes.
people that are like producers, because people hear the word producer and they all think they're like fat cats that live in mansions in the hills with swimming pools, and you're like, that's producer term gets thrown around way too different. The people that actually like make projects and make sure they get done, there's hundreds of independent producers, and they just formed their first union ever because they're making no money. It's the most thankless work, where they work more hours than almost anyone on a set and they make barely any money. But yeah, you're seeing it everywhere, where workers are just like, this sucks. I'm reading every quarter, our corporation makes record profits, and we see none of that. You have some of those businesses that, like the gig workers, or where someone's punching your time clock out right at 30 hours so you can't become full-time and get benefits. Yeah. It's like, we're going to make sure everyone stays part-time. It's just gross. It's so stupid and gross. And I'm hopeful that there's a new dawn and a new day coming soon.
And a new life.
Yeah. And I'm feeling good.
What was that song you sang on the line last week, Mike?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. I'm sorry. My apologies. I kicked it old school because I'm not that great of a singer, so I kept my deepest tones, and I sang Tennessee Ernie Ford's 16 Tons about coal mining, and owing everything to the company store.
What?
Yeah, so I did 16 tons on the karaoke jams on the picket line.
I'd like to ask you both, what has been your favorite moment on the line and what has been your hardest moment on the line?
Oh, Jillian, this is so public.
I'm sorry. I mean, it's up to you whether you want to be truthful about your hardest one.
Let me think. Oh man, there's so many moments of both.
Tough.
There's so many moments of both.
Yeah, there are a lot of moments of high stress, and again, like things not getting dangerous, but like things feeling like they're getting a little chaotic or whatnot with like huge groups of people, and even if they're fired up, it's like as strike captains, we don't get to join in the fun. We're kind of the wet blankets that are just trying to make people stay on sidewalks and not get hit by cars and all that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of like kind of stressful moments that have happened through the first 82 days or so that we've done. So there's been some trying days, and then there's just been days where I think all of us have felt like just a husk of a person. Like you've just spent everything physically and mentally, and you got nothing that day. And I think we've all hit the walls at certain times where we, I needed to take a couple days off just to mentally recoup from waking up every morning and getting out there and fighting the good fight every single day.
So many times. I mean, a lot of us are dealing with so much personal shit outside of the line. My oldest brother was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer during the strike. My youngest brother, who has schizophrenia, has been dealing with a lot of things that my family is, we're all trying to collectively figure out how to manage. It's like, and then work, making money, doing these like things that we don't talk about when we're there because we don't have the time on the line. But I personally have hit the wall so many times, and this week has been pretty rough. But I also feel grateful for the times that I get to work and act and play and do theater like I did last week with the theater readings that I was a part of. And it's all really overwhelming and fulfilling. And I wouldn't drop any of it, you just got to take it all and take it day by day. And a lot of times just looking like the looks that we give each other. Oh, you know what? I've got one. I've got one favorite moment. So after everyone leaves, the strike captains stay and talk with each other about what went wrong, what we need to troubleshoot, things that went well. Or we just sit there and just look at each other in silence. But I remember in week 2, it was early on, but it was also like we were like starting to get used to the heat on our bodies. And every day just being in that 90, almost like over 100 plus degree heat. Cheyenne, it was me and Cheyenne and Mike in a huddle. And Cheyenne had shared that one of the executives coming out of the studio said, they're really hurting in there. And I just looked at Mike and lost it because it's just, and it was week 2 of the strike. It's just, even that early on, they could feel it. And what we're trying to figure out what the hell it is we're doing. We're not trained in this, but we're doing it. We're trying to show up and figure it all out, and to hear that we were effective was just overwhelming. And then we just all kind of lost it, started crying. And I won't forget that, because it was in a moment exhaustion, heat, emotionally, and it was a peak of light in this cavern of darkness.
Yeah, it's terrible and awesome all wrapped into one. It
Yeah.
seriously is. It's such a like tempest of mixed emotions because like Danice was saying, if you list just all the stuff you're going through personally and you just like wrote those down on a piece of paper, like, God, I'm going through this and I'm broke as a joke and I'm this and I'm stressed out and I'm sleeping kind of shittily and I'm eating bad food and I'm just like not taking care of myself, that's already a plenty to have on your plate or your list. And then when you're around people and you see people on the pickets every day and you start to get to know these people and they're talking about, I'm losing my insurance and, you know, my mom's sick, or I lost this, or I'm really down on my luck, or I need to move, or whatever. And it's like, if you're empaths, like most of us are, and you're a sponge, you're taking on all this stuff. So you add that to your own list, and then you look at like the world at large from a macro level, and you're like, the world's on fire. Everything's like, there's earthquakes and volcanoes and shit like every day. It's fucking overwhelming. It's insane that we can like wake up and get there and make sure people don't get hit by cars every day. But it's true. Like, there's just so much going on. So again, when I look around that circle in the mornings and in the afternoons, I'm just blown away that like this very eclectic, interesting group of personalities has come together, and that we've worked for the most part extremely well together to pull this off.
I'll tell you one of my favorite moments. And, you know, we have a lot of awesome moments, right? We have a lot of fun. We have karaoke days. We do fun themes all the time. But one of my favorite moments that I saw on the line was there was a young woman standing outside of gate 2-3 with a sign that read something concerning. And Jason T. Gaffney,
Ooh, the best.
went over to her and asked, how are you? Are you doing okay? And she broke. And she listed all the things that were you know, going wrong in her life. And Jason brought her back to our check-in tent, and then Danice started talking to her, and you guys figured out resources that she could use and people that she could talk to. And it was one of the more beautiful things I've seen on the line, because it really represented the community that we had built and how we are looking out for each other. And you know, that woman needed to be there that day. She needed to have that person. And Jason was there, and Danice was there, and Will was there, and the people that we have formed this connection with stepped up as superior human beings that day and took care of this woman. And it was so beautiful.
Oh, we love you, Jason.
Yeah. I'll never forget that. That was incredible.
No. There have been several incidents on the line that have been emergency.
Yeah.
And I think, like Jillian, to your point, the way that people come together so quickly, when we had that picketer run into the pole, you know, there were so many that people caught them. They walked them over, like a group of them walked them over to gate 4. Someone brought gauze because they just had, my friend Jolene brought gauze because she had emergency first aid kit stuff in her bag. Like, wow. And they brought over their car. Some people were just so willing to jump in and help each other. And those acts of kindness that fast, that's just like, we don't see that out every day. Yeah. I don't see that out in most of the world.
Yeah, I think, and especially you hear, you know, Los Angeles or Hollywood, it's a bunch of individuals, selfish assholes that care about themselves. And, you know, it's this like heartless, cold city where everyone's just out for themselves and stuff. But that's not true. Human nature, it's like, when someone falls, you go to pick them up. That's a reflex as human beings. Unless you're a sociopath, like, your reaction is, it's a reflex just to go like go and help that person straight away. And to see that over and over again, almost on a daily basis of like, the humanity and again, the community. I think, you know, like you alluded to earlier, there are, you know, multiple people that, you know, this is the first time they're seeing a semblance of like community and family in this town. Like this strike has changed this town.
I think it has
just
too.
overall.
I mean, I know that when I was growing up in the industry, and I think it's still there a little bit, the big corporations have always tried to, pit actors against each other, make it a competition. Oh, well, you didn't get it because they did this, or you did this and you did that, and it's always felt like you're in competition with everybody all the time. And we've never had a sense of, let's look out for each other instead. Let's have this community, because really the only times you'd see your actor, other actors, is at acting class or at auditions. And if you're at an audition with an actor, you're more than likely going up against them. And there's so many people who are in that room who just won't even talk to you because they're like, you're my competition. And you're just like, but I want to be a friend. Like, hi. And so I think it's been this, very, very long overdue awakening of actors and our union members to say, like, hey, we're not each other's enemies. They want us to be each other's enemies, but that's not it.
Yeah.
We need to stick together.
Yeah. The strike really has changed the industry, the culture, like the fabric of our culture, that we can continue to change. Because like y'all said, it has been so like competitive and hierarchical, but we're on the line with people that we're seeing as people, not as what can you do for me, and
what's on your IMDb.
What's on your end? Yeah, we are so much more than our resumes. And this has been a brilliant time for everyone to remember that, and to remember that we all deserve decency and humanity and connection. And that is not something that we have really been able to facilitate, because the work moves so fast, the world moves so fast. But now that we've collectively been like, nope, we're withholding our labor. We're going to bring baby cows to the picket line, and we're just going to be in community.
And even within our own union, I think that's what's great, is like, I agree with you that it's changed. It's changed, this town and this industry, but even within our own union, of how much we've gotten to know our staff, and staff has gotten to know the membership, and how membership now knows leadership, and leadership and the negotiating committee know the rank and file and staff better. Like every, aspect of our union, we've all gotten to connect and really know what each other does. And I think there's just this mutual respect and love and admiration and connection that we have between, staff and membership and leadership and the negotiating committee and everyone, where when we're on the picket, we're all one. And that wasn't always the case. It's like, that's just a truth. That wasn't always the case. It was always kind of they're up there and we're down here. Not so much anymore. It's we're all kind of on the same level, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's been it has been a trip to be with staff every day. I mean, it's wild to me, because it's like, I grew up in the union. I joined the union when I was 8. So to me, the union was this like mythical thing that I didn't really know a whole lot about up until like 3.5 years ago. And I didn't ever think I'd be like texting staff people, or like knowing like who works in what department, and like, it's wild to be out there with them. And I think it has really changed everything moving forward. It really has. It's become so much more than our contract. And like, obviously we want our good contract. We're not going to stop until we have a good contract, but it's so much more than that now.
It is. You're right. That's absolutely right.
So going forward, I mean, post-strike, what do you foresee for yourselves within like union work? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to tackle? Are there things that the strike has maybe sparked within you that you say, oh, I want to do this now too?
So I've actually decided to leave the union and become a monk. I am really excited to get back to it and go with full force into the organizing committee. Mike is now the chair, and I am a co-chair, and we're gonna keep rocking it, keep recruiting our people, and not lose momentum.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose this momentum, this energy, this passion, this fire by not connecting. So we want to build these relationships, foster them, bring together the strike captains, hang out, spend time with each other as people, figure out what matters to others so that we can, make things happen together.
Yeah, I agree. After a brief bout of depression when this is all over, which we're all going to have, I'm just like
post-show blues,
being so excited that we got a great deal, but like sad that we're not waking up at 7 a.m. to, go set up tents and stuff in the mornings and whatnot and fold t-shirts. But yeah, I echo what Danice is saying. Like, I'm very excited to be hopefully remain on the Commercial Performers Committee and also chair the LA Local Organizing Committee. And yeah, like she said, we can't just let this momentum fade away. We were unprepared for this strike because we hadn't really had one in 4 decades. So to be kind of have like a standing army where we're constantly kind of training our member leaders and member ambassadors, whether you're on a set or you're at an audition or you're at a friend's house at a party. We want to educate, more of our membership to have these one-on-one conversations about why the union is important to everybody, including them. And dogs too. And dogs.
Jane,
we got to unionize those dogs.
Jane, we had this conversation.
The best name of all time. But yeah, I think I'm very excited to continue this member education and outreach and engagement to get more people involved so that we can move the needle from within our own union. It should be a member-led, union. And I think we're taking great strides over this past year to get there.
So here's the thing. I had an idea. I don't know if I told you, Danice. I think that we should have a walking group when the strike ends, and all of the captains can just meet at WB and go on like a 3-mile walk. Like, we're not picketing. We're just walking. It's a little walking group. We get our exercise in and we stay together.
I love that.
Like the old people at the mall that show up at like 5 a.m. and walk the mall before the stores open. I'm down.
Can we wear ankle weights and headbands?
Can. Please. I demand it. We also have to have side ponytails.
That's the only way I'll do it.
The only way. I was gonna say something else too, and now I just forgot it because my brain's dead.
Same.
Group.
Honestly, dead. It's so funny. I just I lost my thoughts. They left the brain completely. What are you guys gonna do when the strike does end? Like, are you gonna take a week off? Are you gonna say, please God, no one talk to me? Or what's gonna happen?
Oof. It's gonna be weird because it is gonna be this mishmash of like euphoria that we won, like to actually have this big of a victory. I think it's gonna take a while for it to kind of sink in. But yeah, like I can't wait to celebrate with everyone and tip one back or raise a glass and share a million hugs and tears and all that stuff with everybody. But yeah, after that, it's gonna be strange getting back to normal life. But yeah, I'm sure we will all look forward to some of those days where you look at your calendar and you're like, holy cow, I have a day free to do whatever I want and work on whatever I want and stuff. That sounds mighty fine as well.
Oh man, I also just realized I wasn't connected to my microphone the whole time, so sorry.
Let's just do it over again.
Let's do the whole thing again.
Take 2. Oh gosh, I haven't really thought that far ahead, even though we know that it could be very, very soon. I do want to take some time, like go camping, go spend some time in nature to just root and can reconnect with myself and disconnect with noise. But October is generally a really busy month. So
Yeah.
I also expect there to be, hopefully, a lot of auditions.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to spend time with each other, hugging each other off the line, not in tears, happy tears, and seeing each other not in vests, because I don't recognize people not in their vests.
If you're not wearing a captain hat, I don't know what you look like.
Yeah, if you don't have your lanyard yet, don't know who you
Talk
are.
to Eugene.
Yeah, but I really hope that that the holidays might mean a little bit more this go around because of what we just did this whole summer and fall.
Oh my gosh, do we do a captain's white elephant party?
Oh my
Yes,
gosh,
please.
so cute. So cute.
That was what I was going to talk about. You guys also built this entire Discord for our captains to be able to talk to each other across lots, which has been insane. Danice, I can't believe that you guys did that, but it's been so helpful to be in contact with the other lots, because I mean, once you're at a lot, it's not like you're moving around all the time. You're staying where you are because that's where, you've been sent.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine us not talking to each other, and I have friends that are captaining at other lots, and I want to know what's going on over there.
Yeah.
And the Discord is really special. We share captain fits, strike pets, more good news, Hurricane Hillary news.
Oh God, Hurricane Hillary. The good old days.
But it's also been a really cool, like, kind of social experiment within the captains groups of like how many people have like forged, I think, pretty strong relationships and friendships from the Discord. From, they're not seeing each other on the regular, but on the Discord, it's been a sounding board for people to feel heard while they're going through this stuff. And that brings me to the group. Danice, I don't know if you want to talk about the kind of the grief group of like, that's been part of this, is like, we're kind of grieving all sorts of stuff throughout this strike. We're not just grieving, the loss of, opportunity and money at the time. We're grieving all these, these other things and losses as we're doing this strike. But yeah, Danice, I don't know if you wanted to talk about it at all, but that was pretty remarkable.
Yeah, man. The grieve leave or the Discord safe space?
Both of them, I think, are two incredible things that have come out of like kind of the Discord and
sure thing.
Yeah, and our friendships.
Yeah. So several captains and I got to be a part of this article by the LA Times, and it was about how actors aren't just striking, they're grieving too. And we got together, like a small group of us got together in a group. Thank you to Brendan Bradley for inviting folks together to meet with an old high school friend of his who ran this grief group called Grief Leave by Rebecca Feinglass. And we talked about the loss of income, the loss of momentum, other things that we grieve in the work that we do, not just on the line. And so we're all experiencing it at the same time while we're building this strike and we're running this strike. And it brought on this huge wave of people coming forward and sharing the article, saying like, yes, this is exactly what I have been feeling. This passion tax, this expectation that people, if you do what you love, why get paid for it? Why get paid fairly? Because you would just do it anyway. And being in that space together as a little community, a lot of us meeting for the first time and being vulnerable, opened up this potential of bigger conversations that we can have outside of, that one space. And Jordan Mitchell Love and Kristen Elizabeth, who are moderators of our Discord as well, they took it upon themselves to create a digital safe space where captains can talk regularly. It's facilitated by Jordan and Kristen, and you get to just be in your body and share and talk about the things on the line, talk about the things off the line. But being in community and having that space for those who want to be there has been incredible and so beautiful. And we had one last night, and to just see people's faces and hear what other people are going through just made me feel so much more connected to them. Not just captain to captain, but person to person. And there are things that we grieve outside of the strike, even in our regular work, grieving a pin, the loss of a pin or a veil, a potential job, which we go through that process all the time if we're lucky. And how do we take care of our mental health? How do we take care of our mental health outside of the strike? How do we find our people? How do we build those relationships? How do we continue to be our fullest selves that can show up the way that we want to by being in community and by staying connected to one another? It just changes everything. Community changes everything.
Yeah. Especially in an industry where so many people leave their homes to come to Los Angeles to fight for this work, and they don't have their family around to lean on, to ask for support. They can't just, hop on a flight to go back home and see their mom because it costs too much money or whatever it is. They don't have that group. And so having a community like that is just, to some people, I'm sure it's life-saving.
Yeah. Actually,
literally,
yes, literally
life-saving. Well, I adore you both, and so happy that the strike has brought us together. And you'll both have to be on the show when we're back in normal times, and we don't have to not talk about all of our wonderful accomplishments and losses.
We love you, Jillian.
But where can people follow you on social media so that they can see all of your awesome stuff outside of, striking and with striking? Because I know that most of our stuff right now is all strike stuff.
You can follow me at Danice Cabanela on all platforms. That's DANICECABANELA on Instagram, Twitter, and Tom invited me to Blue Sky, but I haven't been on there.
That one?
It's a
There's too many things.
There's so many things, but connect, say hi. We'd love to meet you.
Yeah, and if you want to follow me, you can follow me. I'm mostly an Instagram kind of feller, but you can follow me at Mike C. Nelson and the number 1, Mike C. Nelson 1. And then if you like trivia at all, I have a weekly trivia podcast called You Should Know Better.
So fun.
Yes.
That's super fun. And give that a listen if you can. That would be a huge help.
All right.
Woo!
One more thing. What is one thing that you would tell a fellow actor who, maybe isn't having the best go of it right now? What is one thing you would tell them?
I would say you are not alone. There are a lot of people who probably feel the same way as you. There's a bigger community out there, and focus on the things that you can control rather than what is out, and join a committee. Be in community.
Yeah, I would tell them to cultivate those relationships that fill your cup. That doesn't have to be inside the industry at all. It's like inside the industry or outside. It's cultivate those relationships with people that are doers, that are kind, that are fun, that are smart, interesting, weird. Like latch onto those people that are intriguing to you. And truly cultivate those relationships, not out of trying to get something out of somebody, but because you enjoy their presence in this short time we're here on this life. I think I've learned that where most of my work comes from relationships of people that I just think are fucking wonderful and awesome, and we want to just hang out and do stuff together. So yeah, that would be kind of my thing, is just, work on those relationships and don't let them go by the wayside. They're hugely important out here.
Well, thank you both for being on the show and talking with me and informing our listeners a little bit more about, everything that you guys have been doing out there on the line and committees, and how important it is to find your community. I think it's really a strong point right now that we're witnessing, and it's a historical moment, and it's cool to be here with you guys. And we don't know how much longer we're going to be out there. So if you're listening to this and you live in Los Angeles, come see us at WB.
Woo, woo, woo.
Come see us. Yep. And I always say this too, like, the union ain't perfect. No organization is ever perfect, but the alternative is much, much worse.
Oh,
we got to try and improve. We need to improve our union, of course, but that only comes from people getting involved, getting off their ass and getting involved. So get off your ass.
Get involved.
Come see us.
The cavalry isn't coming. We are the cavalry.
Yeah.
Thank you again to Mike and Danice for coming on the show. It was truly special to have them on and to talk about our experiences out there on the line and have them share the importance of solidarity and community and joining committees and just being there for each other. It's been a pleasure to serve with them, and I am excited to continue serving with them outside of the strike and within the union. Listen, I would normally say tune in next week for another episode, but I don't know if there's going to be an episode next week. This was purely a special to really shed some light onto what we all are experiencing as captains out there on the strike lines. Who knows what's going to come with negotiations? We can all pray and hope for a deal soon. Until then, please get out to a strike line. I'm telling you, if you are feeling down, if you are feeling alone in this, get to a strike line. It is fun. It is positive energy. You will find community, you will find friends, you will find family, and we all welcome everyone with open arms. So please come see us at any lot. If you want to meet me, Danice, or Mike, come to WB and we will give you a big high five. As always, thanks for coming in.
Hi, I'm Alexis Ohanian. You may know me as one of the co-founders of Reddit, but more recently, a large part of my identity is being a father to my two wonderful daughters. In my podcast, Business Dad, I'm hoping to open up the conversation about balancing careers and family. The one thing I constantly hear successful people say, without fail, is that they wish they'd spent more time with their kids. That's time no one can get back. So I decided to create Business Dad, to engage in the conversation about how we're spending our time now, providing a forum for successful dads to share their joys and challenges of being a working parent. You'll get to hear from a wide range of business dads, from Rainn Wilson and Guy Raz to Todd Carmichael and Shane Battier. And while this podcast will talk about business and will definitely be featuring dads, I think everyone can learn something from these incredible conversations as we unpack the expectations we all have about careers, relationships, and ourselves. Business Dad is available now, so be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.